Good to see you guys. It's so awesome to have this conversation on the thing I'm the most nerdily obsessed with in the world, which is generative AI and how it applies to the world of customer success. Yeah. So with me, I'll introduce Chuck Ganapathy, our not new anymore, new-ish president and COO at Gainsight. Chuck's got responsibility for R&D, marketing, M&A, and has a long background in CRM at Salesforce and Siebel, as well as a background in AI. And then Marilee Bear, who just joined us, so exciting, our new Chief Revenue Officer, obviously responsible for sales and our whole customer journey. It's great to have you here, Marilee.
Thank you, I'm delighted to be here.
There is so much happening in the world of customer experience and AI, obviously with large language models, which are the underlying kind of technology in ChatGPT. It's just changed everything and it continues to evolve at such a fast rate. So we've done some exciting stuff, and probably the most exciting thing is bringing in a new technology into Gainsight called Staircase.ai. Chuck, tell us more about that.
Yeah, we got to meet Staircase AI a few months ago. The first time I met the founders, Ori and Lior, I was just blown away. And I think they have taken the customer success platform, the idea of customer success, and turned it on its head, which we really love. And we're super excited to bring it into the Gainsight family.
I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, it's really cool. I remember when you were getting the demo, if I'm not mistaken, and you Slacked me and said, we've got to buy this company.
That's right.
and we did, which is awesome. And they brought in Ori, the founder, and Lior, the co-founder, just incredible AI visionaries to partner with you and your team. So tell me more about what Staircase does.
Yeah, one of the core tenets of customer success is the early warning system. And typically we've used things like input and human judgment from the CSMs. We've used things like product usage metrics and NPS surveys to get a sense of what the risk with the customer is. And the reality is those work to a certain extent, but we can do so much more. Because despite having all of this instrumentation, we are still constantly surprised by the customer that looks green on the dashboard, on the health score, and suddenly they churn. You get the churn notice and you go, you're completely blindsided. How do you prevent that kind of surprise and find these risks early enough, find the smoke before there's a fire? And the key insight of Staircase AI is that those early warning signals are actually available in the customer interactions that happen every day between all of your team members and the customers.
That's awesome. I know some people might wonder, okay, a lot of these systems take a lot of data integration, data cleansing, take weeks, et cetera, to deploy. What's his deployment in this product like?
Well, that's the beautiful thing about it. We ran a POC with Staircase before we bought them internally at Gainsight, and it literally took 1 day to get the system up and running. Couple of days to tune it, make sure that the notifications and the signal detection was perfect, and then it was ready to go. And that's the amazing thing about the technology, is that because it goes to the source of the communication channels, that you're able to get this thing up and running in a matter of days and start seeing the value immediately.
And how does this compare to some folks are familiar with traditional sentiment analysis, some of the pre-sales AI tools? What's unique about the way we're approaching this?
Yeah, if you think about the signals that we use today, like human judgment through CSMs putting in their sentiment that they feel that the customer is expressing, typically that doesn't scale because you're relying on that human to make that judgment, and everybody looks at risk very differently. We also look at product usage, but unfortunately product usage can give you a lot of false positives where you think the usage looks great until the day they churn because they moved over to another system.
Right.
Or we also use NPS surveys, and the reality is that's a lagging indicator. Mm-hmm. So the key insight for us is how can we use the communications that are happening every day and use AI to analyze those communications and pull the risks out, but do it with post-sales in mind. So the communication channels, the communication that you have with your customer in the pre-sales part of the customer journey is quite different. Our AI with Staircase AI is really tuned to the conversations that happen post-sales and how we can pull these nuggets out of those everyday conversations and then put that in front of the executives to give you the early warning system that you never had.
I love that. I started using it internally, and I don't know, Marilee, you may not have heard. Chuck doesn't know. I'm kind of maniacal about details and like customers in particular. Have you heard that already, Chuck?
Of course,
just a little bit. Yeah. And so I decided, there's this feature in Staircase where basically, as you know, it alerts you over Slack or whatever Teams or whatever you're using, and gives you a notification that says, hey, this customer expressed like a risk, or this customer had a sentiment issue, et cetera. And I get all these alerts, and then I can use the web UI as well. And it's just been amazing for me. Like just in the last few weeks, literally since we turned it on, I had an alert from a customer where there was a risk, and I was able to text the CCO, and we turned it around within a few days. We had a customer that was a save, like meaning they were potentially going to churn. And we were able to go back and kind of see the history, because it gives like a timeline of all the communications. And frankly, I could have seen I saw communication. I was like, we should have caught this earlier. I think we'll save that customer, by the way. And then we had one where we didn't save it, where it churned, and the customer shared some feedback on, feedback on responsiveness, things like that. I was able to go back and see that it was real, and we gave some coaching to the team. So it's really amazing. Not just, I think, it's useful for the individuals, CSM, salespeople, but also for leaders. Not just CEO, like leaders at all levels. An example is every leader, including CROs, want their teams to be multi-threaded, meaning have more than one contact in an account. One of the things I love is I can see how many people we're communicating with, who's communicating with those people, what the strength of relationship is between like response time and things like that. Yeah. So Marilee, as you hear about this, and as a longtime sales and actually CS leader, how does this resonate with you, and how do you think it'll help customers?
It resonates so deeply. I have to tell you my story about Staircase. So I had Staircase enabled and the notification sent to my Slack. And just my ability to start looking and seeing, how customers are perceiving Gainsight, how, to your point about multi-threading, how many people are we talking to in an account? What literally, in my last job in 2020 when I onboarded, probably took me 2 or 3 months to get up to speed. I'm able to do that in a much, much faster, more efficient way. And I'm like you, I love the details. I love to see what are our customers saying about us. And, and when I see, negative sentiment, it gives me an opportunity to approach the customer myself and let them know that I'm in an additional path outside of their account team for escalation and, for helping them turn the issue around. On the flip side of that, I also saw a lot of really positive sentiment. Yeah. Especially coming out of our CXO conference this past week, with customers who are really excited about Staircase, and also, just kudos to the team, which is also great to see.
I love that, giving kudos based on good work, and that's so great.
So one thing I'm really excited about is the team effort dashboard. So tell us how you've been using that in your new role.
That is awesome. Okay, so what I love about the team effort dashboard, and just to kind of set the stage for everyone, it's tiles of each of your clients, and it shows your ARR, it shows the assignment by the account team, and it also shows utilization of hours and time and resources. And why I love this is because it really gives us a quick snapshot of where our resources are deployed, so we can think about productivity and efficiency, which everybody's trying to do more with less these days, and we're trying to maximize the time that our people have. We don't want them spending time on the data entry. That's done, and it's all there in that dashboard, in the team effort dashboard. So I can sit down with my partners in professional services and success and sales and pre-sales, and we can sit and we can make sure that we've got the right people on the right accounts at the right time. It's pretty cool.
Exactly, and the beautiful thing about it is it looks at all the communications and the interactions across the company.
Right.
As you said, your sales teams, your account management teams, your onboarding team, support, the professional services team, and of course, customer success. Every conversation that's happening between your employees and every employee at your customer is being monitored.
And that is the magic. And here's why. I think we've all been in a situation, if you're a salesperson or a success person, you're having a conversation with a customer, you may not always be aware that they've had maybe an incident in the last few days, or they've had to interact with support. Maybe they had a great experience, maybe they didn't. This completely kind of links everything together, so you get that 360 view of how the customer feels. And that's super important when we engage with our clients, that we know that going into that Zoom call or that face-to-face meeting.
Yeah, and the great thing about that is these could be good news. It could be leads that your support team comes across because the customer is asking for pricing to add new users. Wouldn't you like to get that in the hands of our sales team?
Absolutely. Yes.
You like leads?
I do.
Is that okay? Good.
Only if they're fully qualified.
Okay, all right. Yes. That was good. I forgot to ask you that in the interview process. So, yeah.
And the great thing about all of this with Staircase AI is that it requires zero data entry.
Right.
It's magical because we're now able to go directly to the source of the communications, whether it's your Exchange server or your Gmail server or Zendesk, that you're very familiar with, or Service Cloud or ServiceNow. We can go into Zoom, Microsoft Teams, pull in every conversation across the company, and then do analysis on top of that, which means your CSMs don't have to do any data entry. And that really is a key principle for us as we think about the next evolution of Gainsight, which is how can we use AI to take away work so the CSMs and your frontline employees are focused on doing what they do best, which is interact with customers. And a key part of that is the new AI cheat sheet functionality. Nick, I know you're a big advocate of this.
Tying to what you just said and tying to cheat sheet, I just love this principle of not making people do the work that doesn't add value. Nobody likes that. The grunt work, all the manual work, and how do you bring the best out of the human beings in your team and in your customers? As you know, we call that human first AI. And there's so many aspects to this. I'm excited about, honestly, reinventing everything Gainsight does, and frankly, all of us reinventing the whole enterprise software industry around a different mentality. The old mentality was enter data, have some workflow, have some tasks that you don't really want to do, do a lot of manual work, and maybe you have 1 hour for a customer. But what's cool about cheat sheet as an example is one thing people spend a lot of time on is prepping other people for meetings, prepping the CEO, an executive, even a new CSM that just took over an account, a salesperson. All of us have to get prepped, and that prep might be a call to be prepped. It might be an email, filling out a document, right? All these different ways. But the truth is you have so much data already about your customers in your CRM and Gainsight, and AI is great at summarizing that, right? That's one, as we all know, it's like one of the best things LLMs are able to do is summarize. So we tuned our technology into this thing called cheat sheet, which I'll let Chuck talk more about, but I use it every day. And the basic idea is I'm about to go into a meeting, and even if my team gave me a little bit of prep, I want to know what's happening to that customer. I want to know who the key stakeholders are. I want to know the risks so I'm not walking into something that I didn't know about, right? What were their objectives? What are they trying to do? What are the projects they have with us, right? All of the basic stuff, along with, of course, the revenue they have, the renewal date, all the stuff that I think is simpler. How do you get that deep insight so you can go and have an A+ conversation, even if you only looked at the meeting invite 5 minutes before the meeting, which I don't know if it happens to you guys, but definitely happens to me.
How many customer meetings do you have in a day, Nick, on average?
I do about anywhere from 10 to 15 a week, so 2 to 3 a day. So there's just no way to just take hours and prepare beforehand.
Think about how much time each CSM prepares to get you ready for that meeting.
Oh my gosh, we did that analysis, and we've saved literally companies in just a few months millions and millions of dollars because 10 minutes per prep, all these prep for meetings, and not to mention some of the other stuff we'll talk about. So super cool.
Yeah, and the other thing people do after meetings, any good salesperson or CSM or customer-facing colleague is to summarize the meeting notes and send out action items and email the customer. And we're super excited to be introducing AI follow-up, which I know your teams really appreciate, Marilee, that allows the CSM to be able to spend no time taking notes, listen to the customer, be in the moment when they're with the customer on a Zoom call or a Teams call, and then have the AI summarize the meeting, assign the action items, and then with a click of a button, create a CTA that they can follow and make sure it's done right after that. And if they want to follow up with the customer with a summary, using our Write with AI functionality, they're able to now send a quick follow-up within minutes or hours of the meeting, so the customer feels like the person they are dealing with cares about them and is following up with them right after the interaction.
Perfect. I need that today.
you got it.
Okay.
It's there. Well, it's interesting because we're knocking off a lot of things CSMs don't like. They don't like having to do manual entry of customer sentiment and health. They don't like preparing their boss or their CEO, which for some reason, I don't know why they don't like that, but they don't like that. They don't like taking notes. They don't like doing like task management, writing generic emails. They love meeting with customers, supporting their team, understanding the client's outcomes. And if we can free up more time as an industry for that, CSMs are going to thrive.
Absolutely. I think the other thing that CSMs, we've heard a lot of feedback from, is how can they have a modern experience when they log into Gainsight?
Yeah.
For those times that they have to work with the data, work with the reports. And we're super excited about the fact that 60% of our customer base is using our new AI features, including 6 million cheat sheets that have been delivered to executives like you to prep for meetings, and over 500,000 meetings that have been summarized with clear follow-ups and action items.
That is a lot less typing. I love that.
Probably a lot of hours saved.
In fact, it's 10 hours per CSM per week saved with zero data entry.
Wow.
Wow.
All right, Chuck, that's awesome to hear about the productivity benefits of how Gainsight and AI can help a CSM. But one of the other things a lot of people in work, and CSMs in particular, want is a modern experience. You know, we're so used now to using things like ChatGPT, technology that feels like it's assisting you day to day with AI. What are we doing in that area?
You know, we have completely reimagined the Gainsight experience. The Gainsight home now is nothing like you've ever seen before. If you haven't seen Gainsight in recent times, you'll be blown away. We've modernized the experience, streamlined all the buttons and the user interface to get you through your work as fast as possible so you can go spend more time with your customers.
That's awesome. You know, we're using it internally. Obviously, a lot of our clients are, and the feedback is phenomenal. It does feel like a whole new day in terms of the look and feel, but also the impact it has on the way people feel about their job. You know, that's important. So it's not just about CS though. It's about some of the other areas. You know, we have a community product, we have an education product. Tell us what's happening with AI and the rest of our product suite.
Incredible progress on our community solution. We have enabled our community managers to set up more complex hierarchies for companies that have multiple products. So if you have a multi-product community, we now give you the ability to set it up so you can easily manage that, but allow the different customers that have focuses on different products set up their own communities, but you as an admin have a bird's eye view of everything that's going on.
That's awesome, because I know that community managers are overwhelmed like everyone else is, you know? And the truth is, a lot of the work of a community manager is going through content, writing content, and that's what drives a thriving community. If AI can help, that's pretty magical.
100%. We have the ability for community managers to have auto-suggested responses from AI. So we're doing a lot with AI in our community products, but it's also not just about doing more with less, but it's also about monetizing all the investments you've made into your customer-facing website and your academies. We now have e-commerce capabilities that are baked right into our customer education product, so you can monetize those investments that you've made in your learning management programs.
Well, Chuck, we talked about eliminating surprises and kind of removing blind spots, you know, at Staircase. We talked a lot about removing grunt work by automatically taking notes, preparing meeting summaries, you know, prep notes, things like that. We talked a lot about revolutionizing the customer experience for the end customer with Customer Hub, community, education. But let's close out. You know, one of the challenges companies deal with a lot is just all this knowledge everywhere. And every CSM only knows their little bit. Every salesperson only knows their little bit. And where I see this the most is going on any Slack channel, and you'll see all the time, does anyone have a customer like this that uses our product in this way? So we built something pretty innovative called Copilot. Tell us about it.
Yeah, you know, we talked about the human first AI philosophy that we follow, and I'm super excited about Copilot, which is our way of giving superpowers to our CSMs. We've taken all of the data and all of the insights that are in Gainsight and made it available to the fingertips of the CSMs through a very natural chat style interface that looks like using ChatGPT. And you can ask questions in natural language and essentially look at everything that's going on with your customers and get natural language answers back. And this is not just useful to our CSMs. It's used by our marketers, or it's used by our sales teams. It's used by our professional services teams and even executives like you, Nick.
Yeah, even I can use it. It's so simple I can use it. When I go in there, it's actually pretty amazing because it is taking all the knowledge of every customer we've ever had, and every CSM and every salesperson, and pooling that together. I was on a call recently, and it was awesome. It was an executive of a client, or actually potential client, and they said, "Hey, Nick, how are people using Gainsight success plans, and what ROI are they getting?" And so I typed that in. I said, "How are people using success plans? What ROI are they getting?" Literally just the exact words. And it gave me 10 customers, the actual use cases, and the actual ROI. This customer cut time to value from 12 months to 6 months. This customer improved NPS from 20 to 40. I dropped those in the call, and it was such a good conversation. But I think this can actually help a lot in that note in sales. Any ideas come to you?
I mean, I just think back to the evolution of, trying to really understand how customers are using a product or a company. And it used to be you'd have to go hunt for the PDF in an LMS, and then it was Slack channels where someone sends out a Slack that says, "Hey, do we have a customer who is in this type of industry, is using this product for this type of use case?" Typically it's an echo chamber. They might wait a couple of days for someone to answer them, and this eliminates all of that. So it's just so much easier to provide your customer-facing teams with the confidence to know that they can have these stories from referenceable customers who are willing to share their data, to be able to say, "Hey, yeah, we do. We have XYZ customers who are using this today, and you know what? I think I could probably put you in touch with them if you'd like to talk to them as well about how they're using us."
I love that. You mentioned the word confidence, and to me that's a great closer because it actually is about giving our team the confidence and giving the clients the confidence as well, right?
Yeah,
and the
makes
two of
sense.
them together in a more human way. So speaking of human, I'd love to ask you a quick question tied to this human first idea. So human first is all about bringing the best out of human beings and your clients and your employees, treating all of us like humans, and AI is going to do that. It's going to help us partner with AI versus AI being a threat or alternative and bring the best out of all of us. But I want to hear about AI is going to bring the best out of all of you. So I've got some secret news. I called Sam Altman and I said, "Hey," who's the CEO of OpenAI, I said, "Hey, can we get a few feature requests in there?" He's like, "Sure, what do you want in?" And so he said, "What's your magic wand? What are the things you wished AI could do for you outside of work?" So I'm going to ask you guys, what is the magic wand that you'd like AI to solve? I'll go to Chuck first this time.
Oh, if AI could drive my car and drop my kids off at the soccer game, I'd love that.
You stole mine.
That's happening. No, that's Waymo. That's not even that far away, but okay, we'll give you that one.
Oh boy, I think for me it's folding laundry. That is the worst. I don't mind washing it or drying it, but I don't want to fold it or put it away.
I did see an ad for a giant house cleaning and laundry folding robot. Coming out.
I heard $60,000.
$60,000,
Yeah.
not
Is it
exactly.
called Isaac?
Isaac,
That's
exactly. It's not at all dystopian that you have a giant robot in your house that might take over. Mine would be a little more basic. I would love AI that can sit with me on a United Airlines flight and get the Wi-Fi to work, which I think you have experience with as well.
Lots
If that
of experience this week.
Sam Altman, if you can do that for me, I appreciate it. So thank you all for watching. This has been an amazing conversation. It flew by. There's just so much happening with AI in the world of customer experience. We're going to be talking a lot more about it in the future, but for now, if you want to check out staircase.ai and get a 1-minute demo, literally 1 minute, go to the link below, check it out, look forward to your feedback, and can't wait to see you soon.